Welcome back to the Habit Based Lifestyle Podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Ewell. Today we have a very special guest, Dr. Tim Harrigan.
You are tuning in to the Habit Based Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Jesse Ewell. This is the Habit Based Lifestyle. Let's go.
He's from Scottsdale, Arizona, Synergy Wellness Formula. Dr. Tim's actually been helping me the last 90 days with a transformation program that we're going to be talking about today. But Tim, can you intro everybody just a little bit about yourself and just want to welcome you on the show today?
Yeah, absolutely, Jesse. Thanks for having me on. Tucson, Arizona, actually, not Scottsdale.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry,
It's
Tucson.
a little hotter
Right.
up there. Thank God we're in Tucson. I think it was 117 there the other day. But yeah, I'm Dr. Tim Harrigan. I basically do functional medicine and we use lasers and do chiropractic. So my healthcare office, I've essentially just structured around what I want for myself and my health. So I'm always sourcing the best things on earth just for biohacking, anti-aging, just optimization of health. But I also like evidence. I like doing labs and saliva tests, stool testing to actually get facts to have now the safest, most powerful solutions behind that versus pharmaceuticals or surgeries, which are, really one of the top killers. Actually, people don't realize that. So I'm looking for better solutions that really address the cause of people's health. I've seen over 10,000 patients now, and I'm just kind of obsessed with human physiology and finding the best tools in the world, literally to influence that.
Yeah, that's amazing. So let's talk a little bit about the program that I just kind of wrapped up with you guys. And one of my goals was to really come off of, or at least cut the dose I had of TRT in half. And we use this by a product called Epic Tea, which you're, the director of scientific affairs on. But can we talk a little bit about that product first and really kind of what made you create this like 90-day program I just finished with?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a lot of people have been seeking some sort of help for their energy fatigue for 20 years. So the hormone industry has really kind of taken that over. And I just don't like the solutions. Just like every other solution I look for, I want to find a better, more causative way than just giving somebody's body the molecule it should be producing on its own. We all get weaker over time. We all lose the ability to produce things. Our organs get weaker because of stress. But I don't want to give my body something it should be producing because it already had a tough time producing it. That's why it's low. That's why I've been struggling for years. So if I just give it to your body, if you feel great. I mean, people that are low on testosterone, they start getting shots or pellets or whatever, they do feel better. The problem is your brain and the organs that produce that get even weaker now because I didn't solve the solution. I'm actually making it worse. So there's other mechanisms that come from giving your body hormones. They convert to other bad guys, other bad molecules that feed very bad things in your body. So if I force testosterone on somebody's body, I just made my system weaker, but now I have a higher tendency for that conversion of testosterone to convert to dihydrotestosterone. Well, this is why men and women lose their hair typically as we age. This is why men have prostate issues. This is why women might have PCOS. We don't want our testosterone to convert to other molecules that also contribute to health issues. And another one that's big is estrogen conversion. So we don't want that large amount of testosterone to convert to estrogen. That's literally, if you know of the category of drugs called aromatase inhibitors, those are breast cancer drugs. Their one mechanism, their one goal with that drug is to stop testosterone in a female converting to estrogen. First of all, she lost out of her total testosterone more, so that number's lower. And now I have these two bad molecules floating around. So what most people don't realize, that might be a good solution for some people. I don't like it. But those drugs, literally the 5-alpha reductase inhibitors, the category of drugs that block that dihydrotestosterone conversion, those have black box warnings on them. It's only doing that one thing, but it has a black box warning, which means you should never use it. People don't get the informed consent on that. They rarely know that. The estrogen blockers, the aromatase inhibitors, also have black box warnings on them. It's insane. So, and we're working on one mechanism at a time. So the more synergistic we can get with the body and how it works, because it's so advanced, it's so incredible when you understand there's 30 trillion chemical reactions per second in our body. We want to work with that kind of very delicate orchestra of events. So everybody's searching for these things. And when you look at the TRTs and the research, they're trying to suppress a lot of it, of course, because it's a massive industry. It's $20 billion. In 2 years, it's going to be $25 billion. I don't like what it does to my body. I don't like the molecules it produces in my body. It raises my risk of everything else, gives you the acne, the hair loss, man boobs, all these other things can contribute to that. So those drugs are very popular though. So how do we get around that? Well, we all know the, testosterone boosters at GNC, or the boner sections, excuse my language, at Walgreens or CVS. Those are massive industries. People are looking for solutions, and let alone the cost of TRT and peptides and all this stuff. I mean, who can afford $300 to $3,000 a month forever? And it's not going to fix the problem,
Right.
of course. So everybody's looking to the Nugenix products, this and that. So some people may have heard of fenugreek seeds. 20, 30 years ago, they discovered in the seeds, there's these little molecules. So there's an old version of this called Testofen. It's a very popular product. Again, the demand is huge. I think they sell anywhere from 10 to 20 million bottles per month. Different products out on the market, all these testosterone boosters with what's called Testofen. That's the patented name for the molecules they've taken out of the fenugreek seeds. They've studied these for a long time. It actually started with RA research, ironically. My partner, he got really curious about nature 30 years ago and wanted to create plant-based drugs. So since then, they have been researching, doing clinical studies, obsessively finding the best stuff on the planet. So the testofen molecule is the old version to what we're talking about. So
Got it.
testofen does help increase my total testosterone a little. It does an okay job. It's very subtle. It's very slow. Epic T has something called Testosurge in it. Testosurge is the next generation to those molecules that are very popular. We wanted Jesse to keep these in a professional kind of format. We want these to be at gyms. We want these to be at doctor's offices, naturopaths, really any business owner, but we just don't want to go direct to consumer, even though we do have that option for some people, because this is so special. When I go over quickly, we can send you guys more details of the research and the actual studies that have been done on the actual raws. How many times have you seen studies on Fedosia or Tribulus and it says it does this or that? But then I'm trying to sell you my product over here that wasn't really based on the study. I just have that ingredient in here. I don't know if this is bioactive, other weird stuff in it, synthetics or other molecules. We don't know that. So ours are done on the actual raws. Testosurge now. It increases our total, not just total, but bioavailable. This is the important conversation, and free testosterone in your body. Your free testosterone is really what makes you feel good or bad. It determines if a woman loses her bone structure over time, or whether a male has enough muscle, or a female. It's brain health. Everything gets worse. Every chronic disease. I believe it's Science Daily shows low testosterone. Basically, it contributes to all chronic diseases. So this is where the conversation needs to be, even in women. This is important. Testosterone, far more dominant, far more important in her whole life, throughout every phase of her life, than her estrogen. But the mainstream model is, HRT and birth control for women, and they're just bombarding their bodies. And it's no surprise why cancer is the #2 killer. So Testosurge increases total bioavailable and free testosterone 3 times more effectively than the old version called Testofen. So what it doesn't do as well, Testofen, is it hasn't been clinically proven, which Testosurge has, to inhibit testosterone to DHT conversion. We talked about drug categories that are designed just to do that. So we have clinical studies showing Testosurge is also a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor, which is really great. So now I have more of my own testosterone and less of those bad molecules. It's as well as an aromatase inhibitor. So again, more of my own testosterone that my body releases naturally, and not these bad molecules that might convert to. So those are the 3 main mechanisms. It's also a PDE5 inhibitor, which is the Viagra's. We have clinical studies showing all of that. So that's the solution. This is literally what I can say the best, most effective, safe solution for this, because it's also, don't let this word scare people, but it's also steroidogenic. TRT shuts down the manufacturing process. Those organs, we know testicles shrink up, adrenal glands get weaker because they stop producing the hormones. So use it or
Right.
lose it. So Testosurge is actually steroidogenic, the opposite. So whether you're on TRT and want to continue, or want to get off of it, or don't ever want to start it in the first place, Epic T helps all of those people in every scenario because it's going to get the body manufacturing more like it should. Even if I want to continue the TRT, it actually is helping stimulate those organs. Now, I'm not giving you the hormone, I'm helping with these molecules fix the problem, stop the bad molecules from forming. And it's just this synergistic, amazing thing that we've seen happen. So, back to your question. So, we have all the clinical studies on all those mechanisms. So, obviously, that perked to my attention because it's the safest, cleanest, most comprehensive thing in that category. So, I had to partner with the biotech company. I had to be a part of this. And so now, what happens is we did a study, which you were a part of. Thank you for doing that. It was incredible. 90-day study where we had people on 3 Epic Tea per day. That's it, just 3 of them. Now we recommend most people just do 2 a day. That's all it takes. As well as Fenu seeds. It's a different food product. It's just more of a intermittent fasting tool. It's a protein fiber oatmeal looking thing, but it's not a grain, zero pesticides. It heals the gut, all kinds of cool benefits. So 3 Epic Tea, 3 scoops of Fenu seed in a food form, and then just a clean diet. The results have been all over the place. I mean, mostly incredible. We had in the first 45 days, we had probably 4 or 5 of the 19 men that we spent $2,000 worth of labs on, 0 days before they started, times 19, again at 45 days, again at 90 days. So we just got done with that a couple weeks ago. So the 45-day marker I was blown away with what happened. Some of these people have already been eating clean. Some of these people have tried TRT, have done carnivore for years on end, vegetarian for years on end. This does not treat anything, by the way. Don't skew my words here, anybody. We had one gentleman's skin issue. Some people might call it psoriasis or a rash, whatever you want to call it. 70% of his body was cleared up. So 70% of where it was on his body, which was 90%, had cleared up in 45 days. That
Wow.
same gentleman gained 8 to 10 pounds of muscle, working out the same in 45 days. Worked out the same, gained 8 to 10 pounds of muscle while losing 6 to 8 pounds of body fat. How many programs do you know out there where you can gain the good stuff and lose the bad at the same exact time? We're usually bulking or losing, and it's hard to maintain muscle when you're losing because you usually lose a lot of that as well.
Well,
If you
we could
gain,
probably say how many programs naturally can do that,
yeah,
let alone, do that period. There's
yeah.
nothing.
I've never seen it. So we did very advanced studies on these people. In office, we did a bunch of the most, accurate way to check not just body composition, but pounds of muscle, pounds of bone, pounds of water, pounds of fat, nitric oxide tests. We did urinalysis with a bunch of markers. We did some other nitric oxide tests, just a little bit of everything because we already have the studies on the raws. We already have the testimonials and the anecdotal information on how this works in people. We wanted something bigger. So we spent $90,000 to do this study because I know it's going to influence more things, especially when we added the the rhodiola. The best source in the world of rhodiola is in there from a company called Rhodiolife. It's the most efficacious in the world. So we put that in there with a couple other magic molecules, and the results were absolutely outstanding with cortisol levels. So it's really a lifestyle product, Jesse, because we had guys quit their TRT overnight. And everybody that does that, if they've been on TRT for 2 or more years, their body literally loses its ability to produce testosterone. Your brain says, we have enough, guys. Those organs shut down because it's going to create too much. And your body knows that's bad because if I create too much, I have more conversions to the bad molecules that are going to happen. So these guys, cold turkey, they didn't have a drop down. They didn't, fall into the energy gutter for 2 or 3 months until their body learned how to produce it again. Just lots of different stories from all these different gentlemen. It was absolutely incredible. And that was really to get us curious about what other clinical studies do we need to do? We
Right.
need to get one on PSA levels now, right? Some other, maybe the big C word markers. I don't want to say that word because I don't want people to think we're treating something, but I mean, those are the cool things that happen if I change my diet, I exercise, I get on good supplements that are plant-based, whole food based, from food, from nature, not these synthetic, pieces of garbage that is
So
95% of the story.
let's talk a little bit about this because the world we live in today is like, you go to you get your testosterone tested, it's low. Most people are like, hey, you need to be on TRT versus searching out alternative options like diet, like exercise, or like Epic T. Like, tell me why, um, going on something like Epic T at kind of a third grade level is better than just going on TRT.
Yeah. So TRT is it's a common prescription, and I relate this to every other prescription that's being pushed out there. Our basic traditional yearly lab work, the basically waste of time most of the time, the 20 or 30 labs I get once a year. Doc says I'm healthy, come back next year. And I'm just really waiting around for something big to happen. If you don't measure the right things in the body, which is thousands of markers you can actually measure proactively, you don't know anything about the body. It's not even just helpful. I think that's harmful because I just keep telling my patient they're healthy, come back next year, waiting for something to happen. Well, guess what? The first symptom of heart disease is the heart attack. So I don't want to wait till I have a heart attack to start cleaning my arteries, cleaning up my diet, exercising properly. So it's just one of those things that it's like any medication. I don't go to my medical doctor and they prescribe turmeric or curcumin to me for inflammation, right? That's just not their model. So these are good people stuck in a system that is just too political. It's too financially driven. It's a profit-based healthcare system, which thank God for the crisis side of that, but they just honestly don't know how to address cause very well. But they're very good at giving you what you're lacking or taking away what you have too much of. So the other side effects with TRT, I can get these articles to people if they ask for them. Risk of blood clots, risk of stroke. This is why you have to go in every few months to get your labs checked. What's your red blood cell count? What are your other hormones doing? Are they converting to bad things? The problem is when you get your traditional hormone panel, they're usually just checking maybe testosterone, maybe estrogen, maybe progesterone, sometimes DHEAs in there. But if I just measure those four markers in their total capacity, I don't know what my free is. You have this big circle of total testosterone. Only a small portion of that is actually free. That's really the important talk. So I haven't even talked to you about this yet, Jesse, but we just got access to exclusively to a saliva test that shows us just the free. So we can get this out to people and docs and whatever to run these tests in their own office or in a gym or wherever. I'm actually the doctor that approves those tests. So you can be anybody and do it. It works like an at-home test. So
Oh,
I can
wow.
measure now for, let's say, $60 to $150 just my free because I don't care about your total. This sounds crazy to people. I don't care if you're 100 or 1,000. 100, I know that's low. I want to get your body manufacturing more with Epic T. But if it's high, I'm worried about you because now I know you have a lot more conversions to those bad molecules. And I know Epic T has been clinically studied to stop to some degree those conversions. So I don't like the side effects of TRT. Epic T just makes more sense. It's doing several things versus forcing one thing on the body. And again, it's causative, which is, my passion. I don't want to just give you something that's going to help you feel better temporarily. Let's start
Right.
working on the problem. Most people are impatient though.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is just dealing with, are you going to deal with, do you want to deal with the root cause, or do you want to, play around with the surface, right? And not get to the root. I want to talk a little bit about my results in it because, my goal was to really reduce almost, or to be able to come off testosterone 100%, which I feel like probably in the next 60 days, I will.
That's
Um,
incredible.
so, and I've been on it off and on, I mean, for, 10 years. And then also, when I was younger, I was on it. So I kind of told myself the story that I had to be on it. Right. Um, and I've came off it before, used deer antler velvet, but this is probably the only thing I feel like I haven't noticed the drop. So like I was doing, I think
Jesse,
what,
if I may, I want to comment on that because this
yeah,
is
go ahead.
this is a big problem. I mean, there's 20-year-olds now. 20-year-olds now have lower testosterone than 20 years ago, significantly less. It is an epidemic. And you and I want to perform well. Everybody wants to perform well, whether it's with business, in the bedroom, whatever. We don't want to feel insecure or incapable. We're men. That's just how our brains are wired. So
Right.
20-year-olds now are getting on TRT. This is a big problem. I mean, they're gonna have major health issues. Our lifespan is already getting worse as we know it. For the first generation right now, this is the first time in history that our kids right now will not outlive us as their parents. We're getting sicker, and 20-year-olds are getting on this crap now, and we're gonna see more heart attacks, more strokes. One report on just HRT real quick. This was in 2002. This report came out and a lot of people saw it, basically showing how bad giving your body hormones was through HRT and birth control for women specifically. That report, a lot of people saw it. It wasn't on very long, but there was 200,000 women stopped taking either their HRT or birth control that year. In 2003, there was 18,000 less breast cancer cases. So now we don't hear many stories about that. Now everybody's looking for solutions. Everybody's sick and tired. The market sells us TRT and pellets now. That's just the industry, and everybody's getting on it. So those numbers are dwarfed compared to what's going to happen in the future, but people are looking for solutions. And I know we have the best solution. And your stories help people relate that to them because we all want to feel good, but we're men. We don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about, if I don't feel good or my libido's off or whatever. It's embarrassing, but
Right.
people are looking for solutions.
Yeah, I mean, I like to bring to light, things and also be honest. Like, hey, man, like I legitimately, thought or was like, hey, I need to be on TRT the rest of my life. And then I started really looking into it and being like, okay, well, how the heck do I come off of it? And this is really the only thing I found that I felt like I could come off of it and not feel like I lost energy, my libido, all those things. And so when I started with this originally, I was at zero point 0.8 ml a week, which was like zero point 0.4 ml every 2 weeks. And I think this last week, I went 2 weeks without a shot at all and took 0.35 ml. So like literally my dose, I think is 60 some percent less than it was when I started. And throughout that whole process, I dropped 5% body fat, and I think I lost 7 or 8 pounds of fat and gained 5 pounds of muscle. So yeah.
Absolutely incredible. And so I want people to know too, you're a beast already. So you already have incredible habits in place. You exercise hard, you have for a long time. You sleep good. You do all the things that people need to be doing. So I don't want people to get unrealistic expectations. You're not going to look like Jesse necessarily, guys, if you do this, but it's the best solution in that category. And I know people are searching. So we've had everything from both angles. You're on the far end up here. We've had other people where it took 3-4 months and they finally started getting more energy. All of our systems are different. So I don't like people to compare to each other. We should never do that. We all have different physiologies, different stresses, different schedules. But everybody responds. And this is a safe thing. Unlike TRT, that I could go over side effect after side effect and things you have to measure and this and that. There's no adverse reactions with this. So of course it's just a common sense solution. But I just wanted to bring people back down because they
Yeah, and
think
I'll say too, I mean, I was a trainer for 23
yeah,
years, but
right.
I also, with that all being said, was like, okay, well, how much am I really going to change,
Right.
in 90 days? So that was kind of my thought process too, was like, can I really change that much? So I
Yeah.
was actually surprised how much I could change. Can you touch a little bit on the Fenu seeds? Because you did do that, and just how that really impacts, you and your health.
Yeah, absolutely. The Fenu seeds are incredible. So, the ingredients in Epic Tea are Fenu seed molecules. So let me go over that so there's a clarification. So those molecules, it takes us about 30 pounds of raw seeds to get 1 pound of the molecules that do all the stuff we're talking about. So we have to concentrate those from organic farms in India. These molecules, by the way, they're only created in India and Iran. So how they were created is nature is far smarter than us. It's one of those things where nature has adapted to certain harsh environments with creating mechanisms that allow them to survive when there's no water. It's 120 degrees. These plants should not grow there. They've learned to adapt to grow there by creating these secondary metabolites that now protect the plant so they can grow in nature. So my partner, a genius, he started studying these to create safe drugs 30 years ago. He got so fed up, Jesse, with dealing with the politics and the FDA and this and that. He's like, to hell with you guys. 5 years later, I'm going to create the most powerful plant-based or Ayurvedic supplements in the world. And so they've been aggressively, obsessively studying these for 30 years to get to this point. So those molecules are what they discovered, and they started with RA research. They saw some really cool things with that, but then they started seeing all those hormone things we're talking about. So they put the research in that direction. So that's the Fenu seed itself. Takes 30 pounds to get 1 pound of the molecules. So
Wow.
the Fenu seed is different. The seed is like taking those same seeds, but now I debitter because they're very bitter. The body doesn't want you to ingest them in the form they're in because they've been like that because of nature, so that protects them to grow. But they're also defatted. So we take the fat and the bitterness out. They're dried, very slow process, tedious to keep it intact. So it's the real plant molecule. What it creates is this little flake, almost like an oatmeal, a small little oatmeal flake. And it is incredible. So now we have this thing that I literally tell people this is an oatmeal replacement because all oatmeal has pesticides. All oatmeal is over-farmed, lacking nutrients. It spikes your insulin. We have clinical studies on this oatmeal-like substance that's seed-based, that's all protein, fiber, and insoluble fiber. It's low on the FODMAP. We've seen some gut health improvements with it. And if you were just to take that seed every day, we have clinical studies showing it will absolutely lower your insulin and A1C, or I'm sorry, lower your blood sugar and A1C over time by just adding that, not changing your diet. So that's the power of this seed. So that made sense for us to do this more clinical program, clinical study, because we don't want to isolate things. We already have the studies on all those mechanisms. This is more
Right.
program, right? So we can teach doctors, just other people. Here's a simple lifestyle program. Clean up your diet. Here's some Epic tea. Here's some Fenu seeds. This has been incredible. So we had you guys doing kind of an intermittent fasting with them. So we usually get hungry in the morning. If somebody wants to intermittent fast, it's challenging sometimes. So this food is perfect in the morning. It's satiating. It expands in the gut. I like to mix mine with water and let it sit for 20 minutes, and it literally turns into an oatmeal-like substance. Sometimes if I'm in a rush, I'll just mix it in water and drink it. It'll expand in my stomach, but I know I'm creating less insulin response. I know my blood sugar and A1C will come down, which feed every disease known to man, but it keeps you kind of full. So then we had you guys on a clean lunch and a clean dinner, as much food as you wanted to, and just certain categories of non-processed foods. It was so simple. So anybody can do this. And the results we saw were profound. So that's where the seed comes in. It's more of a food product. The seed does not do what Epic tea does. It's a different molecule that's in this. This is more of a food source. This is more of the molecules in a supplement form for those other mechanisms.
Got it. Okay. Cool. So let's dive in a little bit, man. So like, uh, 90 days, obviously you talked about a lot of the results, or we talked a lot about the first 45. What about like the overall results of the 90 days?
Yeah. There's not one of the 19 men that we spent $90,000 on that didn't comment on something changing in their life. And some were just simple work related stories. I don't get tired in the afternoon. What I did notice, we're actually gathering all the data right now. India has the data. I mean, Jesse, we did so many markers that it's a lot of stuff. And so they have to put it in their Excel spreadsheets, do all the analysis. But anecdotally, any male that I've talked to during the program that was going more than 2 times to the restroom at night, which is going pee usually, right? And it's usually because of underlying swollen prostate. It may not be clinical yet, but most men walking around right now have inflamed prostate because of our stress and our foods. So that makes you go to the bathroom more often at night, and there's drugs for that as well. So there's not one of those gentlemen that's going more than 0 to 1 times per night. Some were going 5 times in the middle of the night. So we
Wow.
have stories of all the crazy weight loss stuff, the muscle gain, the skin issues clearing up. Anywhere across the board, we have people, but every person commented either less brain fog, more energy, better sleep. My friend that was part of the study, he's never had a dream in his life when he sleeps. He said every single night when he started the Epic Tea, he has these crazy real dreams. He wakes up in a panic sweat because he's never learned how to deal with dreams before, and he's never done that. So he stopped it for a week and he stopped dreaming actually again. So just weird stuff. But that just goes to show hormones control everything. They control your mood, your sleep, how you recover, how I speak to my spouse, how my workouts go, if I'm motivated to do them or not, how I perform at work. I mean, literally everything. I call hormones the feel-good molecules, and most people's are jacked up, quite frankly.
Wow. So let's say somebody wants, they want to get on Epic Tea, or they, maybe they want to just get in contact with you to kind of get that process starting. What would that look like for them?
Yeah, I work with people all over the place. So I see my own patients out of my office. There's ways now that COVID has helped us with Zooms and working with people, all over the place. But our big goal, Jesse, because I know this is going to help 100 million people eventually. Just think of how many products. There's 150 products with Testosterone in it. If they're selling 10 to 20 million bottles globally per month, and we have the next generation, the powerhouse that does far more than that molecule, we want to get this out to people the proper way. So we want this to go to professionals, gym owners, everybody, because I know that's going to be our ripple effect to help more people. I don't want to go to consumers. I'll go to my patients and this and that. But our goal is to get this out to the world. We've gotten into a couple other countries so far. It's been a year in the making, but I don't know. We want to get creative to literally get this out, not sitting on a shelf at GNC, not sitting on Costco's shelf, because they can't talk about everything we just talked about. And it's that special. We want to help the company protect what they've done for 30 years, but also get this out because it's going to freaking change people's worlds.
Yeah, and if you guys are listening to this, maybe you're a health professional, gym owner, kind of like Tim talked about, or you feel like this could either help you or as a practitioner, you can just go down to the show notes. You can click on Tim's info. You can get a hold of him that way. Just let him know that you came from listening to the podcast. But what's kind of the next goal for you, man, with like what you're seeing with Epic T? You just wrapped up this 90-day experiment. Like, what's kind of the next steps for you guys?
Yeah, so we control through this biotech company. They have 10 of the best in-class raw ingredients in the world. Testosterone is just one of those. So our mission is ginormous. It's above my even comprehension when we started this. But soon we'll have the most powerful, safe, effective nitric oxide type product out there. It comes from molecules that we have exclusively from champagne grapes through Champagne, France, through part of their champagne making process. They discover these molecules that basically we have a 20-hour window to get these molecules out before they ferment through the process of making their champagne. So they captured them years ago and they started studying them like, well, this is a unique molecule. What does it do in the human body? So what they're doing is taking plant molecules and trying to basically cause physiological, healthy, side effect reactions in the body, just like our food already does already, just more in a standardized dose. So nitric oxide will have a female, even though Epic Tea is a female product, Jesse, we're going to have something that's just maybe called Serenity or something that just looks more feminine. People are weird about marketing, but these molecules are for men and women. It's like saying steak is only for men and whatever, carrots are for women. That doesn't make sense. It's food-based stuff, and they always do what we're talking about. And honestly, women, their hormones are more jacked up than ours. That's just kind of how their physiology is. But our environments, we cannot avoid these hormone disruptors anymore. There's research with 5G. There's research in our tap water. It's crazy. You can't avoid it anymore. What I can do is tighten up my lifestyle, exercise more like you, do the sauna and cold plunge like you, sweat toxins out, work on my foods, maybe shop at farmers markets. But I know the tool for the supplementation part of it, this is the most powerful thing.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to go through a little bit of rapid fire questions because, so can women be on Epic Tea?
Absolutely. And every woman I know, if she's listened well, she's on it.
Okay, cool. And then what's the youngest somebody could start Epic Tea?
I'm going to say 18 just to cover my butt. But if I had a 13 or 16-year-old, they're going to be on it because people don't realize all those scary mechanisms I talked about. That's just the clinical research. And honestly, if you eat clams or oysters, right, those are aphrodisiac foods. We know
Right.
that because they're PDE5 inhibitors and some of them are steroidogenic. So don't let those words scare you. Everybody on here is eating foods already that are doing good or bad things with all of those mechanisms. Again, this is a standardized dose. So don't let that scare you. It's not giving her TRT. And that's the unwanted side effect, right? Women that get on TRT or pellets, man, they got to worry about the weird hair growing where they don't want it. They got to worry about the acne, the deeper voice. They literally have those side effects that they don't want. We want to fix testosterone the right way. And throughout a woman's life, her estrogen far lower than her testosterone. This is where the conversation needs to be first, not estrogen, not progesterone. We have to fix the driver molecule before the other ones are going to balance out anyway. So absolutely.
Got it. And then somebody's on TRT, you know, you recommend regardless if they're on it, to take Epic Tea because it's either going to help them decrease their dose and it's going to help them convert, in the right way, right? Correct?
Absolutely. So if somebody cold turkeys it, we've had those stories. If somebody wants to continue it, maybe lower their dose over time, that's an option too. I'm not their doctor, but any option is imaginable because again, it's like food. It's just helping work with the body. It's not forcing it to. But yeah, if I'm on TRT, right, or pellets, I know, and pellets are even worse. Pellets, it's a minor surgery. You got to do it every few months. They stick something in your butt, stitch you back up, basically. That's not good. Even worse than TRT because now your body's absorbing what it wants or what it doesn't want. Today, I might absorb 10, tomorrow 30, the next day 5. So your hormones are just getting bombarded by pellets even more. And I know because I'm giving them too much testosterone, they're going to have a lot of those bad molecules that feed some really bad things in our body. I don't like that option. So
Wow.
it'll help protect them essentially if they want to continue.
Got it, man. So any last words on anything we covered today, or just anybody out there that you'd like to say?
No, man, I'm just excited for this partnership because I mean we control 10 of the best in-class raws. You're going to see the most powerful, safe, professional formulas literally the world has ever seen. And I've worked with all these different supplement companies. Imagine what I do. We get approached by these companies. I'm constantly seeing what supplements people are on, what their blood work looks like. Maybe they're taking this brand and I'm having to show them, look, you're deficient in this. It's not helping that. But also even with the TRT regard, most people know they need to supplement with it, right? They need to take the DIMS or the horny goat weeds or, you know, the DHT inhibitors or whatever it is. They already know that. So if I can just have everything in one thing that is way cheaper, by the way, I mean, we're talking $70, $80 a month versus how much is TRT. But also I want to paint the picture of be patient. I mean, this is food. This is not something where you change your diet and, you know, 3 months later, you've totally transformed, even though we hear those stories. That's not realistic. If I give you TRT today, you might have a lot of energy next week. It works that quickly. That's what drugs do, right? Do not compare this to drugs. This is not a drug. So give it more time. So usually 2, 3, 4 months into it, then you start to really kind of feel the difference. It's like my workouts are getting twice as good. I'm sleeping better. I'm recovering faster. I can work out more without being as sore. My libido's up. So people just have to be patient because, again, it is food. So don't get unrealistic expectations.
And I will say this, the last probably 4 weeks for me, I've felt more vascular or looked more vascular. I've probably sweat more in my workouts than ever. And, you know, my strength is continuing to, you know, increase. And I honestly don't feel like I need to do as much as I was to kind of maintain that either.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And that's the other
yeah.
thing. So hormones control how fast or slow you lose or gain things. And so a lot of people, they're working out all the time and they hit a plateau and they're changing their workouts up. They're doing everything, tightening up diet. If I don't fix the hormones, those other necessary tools are all necessary. They're just not going to work as well.
Right. All right, cool, man. Well, hey, if you guys, so obviously if you guys want to get a hold of Tim, his info's in our show notes. Tim, I want to thank you, man, for allowing me to be part of your 90-day study, because I learned a lot. I also got in the best shape I've been in 10 years, easy. And not only that, you've helped me become healthier because now I see that I can actually reduce my testosterone, the TRT, and come off at 100%. That's kind of my goal in the next 30 to 60 days, is the 100% go off of it and continue to maintain my workouts, what I'm doing. So I want to thank you for that. If you guys want to find out about Dr. Tim, again, go to the show notes. He's amazing at what he does. He has an amazing company brand, and the Epic Tea is, I believe it's something that's really going to help a lot of men and a lot of people in general. And I got my whole family on it.
And Jesse, I just want to thank you too, because I knew starting this, I've known you for a little while. I knew you were going to be the most critical, skeptical, probably most stubborn with your body because you already have amazing habits and you've done everything. You've been in the industry for a long time. So I will absolutely accept that compliment. And I hope more people understand this is authentic and this is going to help a lot of people. So I appreciate you.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, man. Well, hey, if you guys want to be part of a bigger community of habit-based lifestyle, you want to upgrade your habits in life and business, you can actually go to the show notes. We have a private Facebook group called Habit-Based Lifestyle Business Secrets, where we drop free trainings in there on how you can grow your life and business. We'd love to have you in our group. Hope you guys have an amazing week. Until next episode, have a great day.
Thanks, Jesse.
You are tuning in to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Jesse Ewell. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle. Let's go.